Snackers, Snackettes, and Snack X's. It's your boy Gage with Jokes and Sin.
Yo,
You are
yo.
now tuned in to the second coming of the first episode of Snackin' and Hangin.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. So, just to kind of give you some background on what this is, how this works. Um, for those of you who have not tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, or have been unable to, we kind of went over what this is. This show is part of specifically our. This is a Patreon tier. This
Yes.
particular podcast. It's once a month. It's happening the second week of every month. Usually on Tuesday, right before we go live. Strict 45 minutes. Trying to get in and get out because usually we're gonna have to wrap this up so we can prep to make sure we're ready to go for weekly.
Correct.
Um, but this is also depending on where you are tier wise. There's an option for you to jump in and join us at that tier. And so, it is going to be an open ended show. It is snacking and hanging. This is kind of hanging and talking. Could be about what happened during the day. It could be something that is going on that maybe we won't have a chance to talk about super in depth in weekly. Could be things that we posted about, during the week. Certain pieces of news, be it gaming stuff, could be movie stuff, could be TV stuff, might be car stuff, might be shoe stuff. Um, whatever it is. But it's just kind of a chance for us to kind of talk for a little bit and unwind a little bit before we, um,
Yeah.
before we get ready to jump into the show. And again, it's once a month, and it's look, realistically, it's a trial basis, but it's not a trial basis because if it's going well and people seem to like it, if it does well, that early access to it is only 1 week, and then we'll release it for everybody. But if it does well and it seems like it makes sense to do it more often, then maybe we'll look at that in the future. But speaking of that, what I want to talk today about is specifically the future of loading snacks. I want to talk about what we want to see as individuals and as a group, and maybe what people can expect going forward, um, in terms of whether it is more the same or something different or just whatever. But I just kind of want to get a consensus. Um, we talk a lot, but people don't generally get to hear.
True.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What we talk about, and kind of what some of those ideas are going forward. And I don't necessarily think that those are, it's because we have things to hide. I just think it's because usually when we do talk in front of people, we're talking about whatever Marvel decided to do today, or
Yeah.
whatever DC decided to do wrong today,
Right.
or whatever Microsoft decided to do. You know what I'm saying, that day. And so, again, I think that a show like this is an opportunity for us to kind of delve a little deeper and talk about some other things. And some of those things, again, they could be more personal, might just be what's going on in your life that day or whatever, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea for us to talk about, some of the stuff that's coming up, what we want to do with some of those things, how some of the things that we're doing are changing, and so forth. And so I think that'd be a good topic for the first show. You know what I'm saying?
I can agree with that.
Get
I can
people
agree with that. Yeah.
revving. So
Give people some behind the scenes kind of just where we're at. Yeah. I feel that. I do.
yeah. So I mean, for real, who wants to go first? What do y'all
I
do?
don't have a problem going first.
Talk to me. What's up? What's up?
I as far as things going forward with us and loading snacks, ever since I've gotten the anime chat off the ground and we're all in there posting the news and memes, all kind of stuff, I want to grow just the anime portion of loading snacks even more.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to doing that. I like what we have now. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking of ways to maybe promote it, push it out to further people, to pull more people in. As we talk to people out of cons, people seem to be interested. And I catch him with the other cons. Yo, you recommended this last time. It was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you got
Mm-hmm.
this time? Like, yeah, well, like, come on in. Like, we have all that type of stuff for you here. So, so I'm thinking of ways to just promote and just push forward with that. And, maybe once we get everything we've talked about months ago, like, yes, we're rolling out every month. We have our, I'm going to say unpopular opinion. We don't have that at all. That's not it. We have
I mean, we have done
We've
unpopular
done the
opinion,
yes,
popular
I'm
opinion.
like
talking just as far as like the anime, like
in
what
the chat.
happens in the chat joint. But
Yeah,
we have the Pokedex, the collector's Pokedex that we're running right now. We
right.
have the anime aesthetic. We have Robin's recommendations, and we have Waifu Wars slash Bando Showdowns. You know what I'm saying, that we're running every week, and we have more things that's coming in the future that we plan. Once we kind of got those out and are hitting, you know what I'm saying, like on all cylinders. So I'm thinking of maybe we do these live shows once in a while when something like major's happening, like anime of the year and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Maybe once things get more solidified and situated, maybe doing something more regular, kind of like what Jokes has kind of started to do with wrestling stuff. You know what I'm saying, with the
Yeah,
finisher and pushing, doing what he can to push wrestling. You know what I'm saying, take his passion and push it just a little bit more to the forefront. I want to do that once we have all those things we've already established running and hitting on all cylinders,
yeah.
including with Anime Vault, which is dropping ASAP. So that's as far as the anime stuff. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
Uh, as far as just pushing that more, just pushing just this, us being known more for not just the MCU, DCEU, video games, and being on top of that stuff. Yeah, we know the anime kind of stuff too. We don't necessarily push it to the forefront. We have that branch, but we know that stuff too. You know what I mean?
But I mean,
So
we've been talking about it for years. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying, about how big of a deal it is and how important anime is, and how that what is actually still a very niche community,
mm-hmm.
but is a growing and much larger niche community. There's a part of me that feels like anime is never going to not be niche in the US,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I can see that
But that,
it has grown more substantially since we have been introduced.
listen, dog,
To it.
I almost texted you this afternoon because I had to shoot past Target to grab some things before I shoot on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking through the Target. I had to go grab a couple pairs of jeans, stuff like that, or whatever. Right? Walk past the t-shirt section and the men's section, dog. I see a jump. I see a t-shirts in Target. This Bama Luffy, One Piece Jones. They got. I'm like, first of all, come on, Slim.
No,
Right?
don't do
No, no,
that.
no,
Don't
no,
do
no. Not
that.
like in a bad way. Not in a
Right.
bad way. Next to that joint, Levi joint. Call Zayna. Hey, dog.
Okay.
Problem.
It's a
Okay.
Levi joint sitting in this joint. Do you want me to grab this joint? She was like, I already got a Levi shirt. And I'm like, yeah, but you probably don't
But
have this
well,
joint, but
this
that's
one.
cool. Right? But it was literally like an entire anime section. There was
Yeah.
Naruto stuff there, but again, you're seeing stuff that like has been popular outside. Like for real, anything that didn't hit Cartoon Network
Agreed.
and stay in like the mid '90s,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, early 2000s, didn't hit and didn't catch. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So much of that is changing. You know what I'm saying? And so you are starting to see it be more mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think that it'll remain niche. And I think it's because anime is so specific in the way that it handles tropes, the way that it handles comedy,
I can agree with
the
that.
way that
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
it's a
So
it's a very Japanese thing. You know what I mean? Like
exactly,
that, and we're Americans. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
it's one of the
That
things you have to
crossover is a
be.
little different.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
you see the style of anime in terms of the animation being brought over into other forms. I mean, you've seen it in the Boondocks. You see it
Avatar.
wholeheartedly in something like Avatar,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's still a very Americanized version of it with
Yeah.
slight Japanese tropes that are like something crazy happens and you see the real big
Yeah.
eyeballs, or like you see the snot bubble, form or something like that, right? Um, So I while I do think it's always going to be niche in some way, I think there are two very important things about it. Again, we talked about this years ago, but one is that again, it will continue to grow. If you just look at the numbers for
Mm-hmm.
Otakon
Hmm.
this year,
Anime
if that don't
Expo.
tell you, nothing
Yeah.
will tell you,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Um, so it'll grow, even though it's. But I also think some of that is like people who are into this stuff, or always have been, or maybe wanted to get a little more into it,
mm-hmm.
didn't know that there were things like Otakon. You know what I'm saying? Didn't know that there are
Yeah.
things like Katsucon or Anime USA or Anime NYC. I think the other thing is, I think there's a. We talk about gatekeeping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Um, the importance of it, like where it comes from and whatever. I think that is a thing that will always also
Exist.
be a thing. And I think
Yeah.
that will keep it from ever being able to quite be MCU, you know what I'm saying? Like comic book status, versus where anime is. But I don't think that in any way, shape, or form, again, because more and more people are growing up on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is becoming normal and normalizing. If we can kind of keep our finger on that pulse,
I think that's
as
part
that
of the reason
continues to happen.
why it's grown so much as it is now. Because those people
Correct.
were kids when Toonami it came out, even
Mm-hmm.
us that have grown up with it now, you know what I'm saying, introducing it to their kids and
Correct.
friends, family members, all kind of
You don't
stuff.
even
And
have to
now,
introduce it to your kids. It's just there
yes, because now, like you said earlier, now you can go find shirts in Target. It's just
in
more, it's way
Target.
more,
Target,
it's accessible.
Walmart,
I mean,
shoot, 7-Eleven. You can go in those type of places now and just randomly see.
But
and
even
look,
then, it's like, but again, like to me, the true tale of it. Look, for as popular and as long as One Piece has been on, right? It never hit here. It just didn't.
no, no.
It
This is new.
it
Over the
never hit here.
past few years in America,
Mm-hmm.
its popularity is new. It's been
Correct.
Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. This is
Always. That's exactly what it's
yes,
been. Like people know
yeah.
Shonen Jump,
Sailor Moon, you know what I
but it's been
mean?
Naruto,
Gundam,
Dragon Ball Z,
yeah.
and
One
even
Piece
Sailor
is
Moon is like iffy. But no bull, top rack in that joint with Sailor Moon shirts. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then it was
yeah.
Naruto, and then it was, what I mean. So it's like,
People finally
you
realized that
just,
One Piece is the goat.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's again, it's one of them things that like, so to see a shirt with Luffy, and it's one of them things where like Luffy is beginning to get, dare I say it, like Spider-Man status. Like we see more and more Luffy's every time we go to
Yes,
any
Any
convention.
convention at this
yes.
point.
All people, all shades, all shapes, all
Mm-hmm.
sizes, all sexes.
Mm-hmm.
We see people doing the Luffy joint, the hat, yeah, like just
Yeah.
it's 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 everywhere.
And
And I
just
and
another. I would say
go
just
ahead.
another small thing, just about like how it's grown in the U.S. Think of how many movies we get anime based that show up in the theaters now that we've never
Oh
had
yeah,
before.
oh
And on
yeah, absolutely,
IMAX, not just even a regular theater, that's
Yeah,
on an IMAX
yeah,
screen.
yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
All right, Jose, what about you, man? Where do you see Loaded Snacks going? What do you want to see from it? You know,
So we've grown to the point now, like for conventions now, you know what, we are press. They see us to come in, we doing our interviews, we're taking pictures. So when we apply for press passes now, for the most part, it's mostly a shoe in. Obviously, we know there's like the one hiccup here and there that maybe we're not quite the group that you want to have, or whatever you want to put us in the field for it.
hmm.
But I feel like that we have gotten to a point where we have accomplished because of what we've done that people have acknowledged it. But I think that there's tons and tons of more steps that we can take. Like I want to see us being, certain they'll reach out to us like, hey, we want you guys hosting these panels and things. So like when we've done interviews with celebrities and with guests, but we've never not actually like moderated some of their panels and things that they have.
I mean, I
Like
have,
what you have. We haven't done it necessarily
but it was
collectively
like,
or
but here's the thing about that. It's happened twice.
mhm.
It happened at BlurCon. It happened at Baltimore. and it was both times. It was on a
And
whim.
didn't it happen at NovaCon as well with you jokes in a wrestling panel?
Well, you know
Correct.
what? You know
Correct.
what?
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Correct.
So we've done
It
it.
was like it was can y'all, and it was like,
He's
oh,
the
you're
One of
wrestling,
wrestler.
bro.
us,
He
Yeah.
can do
we
it.
can.
Yeah.
He can do it. I'm not. So it's happened, but it's also one of those things that we don't take the time to put on our resume.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I hear you on that. Continue. I'm sorry.
So like just like being able to explore and have those things where like say each of us have our areas that we focused on. So like how what I did get to do the wrestling panel, but what being in front of a bigger group to where we can say what this is jokes from Loading Snacks. I'm here doing such and such, which kind of ties in. What I was going to go with like the wrestling stuff. Like one thing that we've done more of is just is just putting ourselves out there, shooting the shot with putting Loading Snacks at the forefront of whatever it is that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in the beginning times, there were no's, but then those no's quickly started turning into more yeses outweighing those no's.
Mm-hmm.
And like now I'm actually reaching out like as I'm trying to build the wrestling community. There's promotions now that want
Mm-hmm.
to partner and work with groups, individuals to expand on what it is they're doing.
Right.
Like I'll give you an example. Control Your Narrative, which is a wrestling promotion that was created by you guys may not be familiar, obviously, but EC3 for those that out there that are familiar with, and AK, formerly known as Braun Strowman, who was in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they're trying to now partner with others, and the thing is, they've said many times, we don't care about your followers, we don't care about these type of things. You know what? We want to work with different individuals that we can build this brand off of, and they say, we want to be able to feature some of y'all. So I didn't already shot the shot for Loading Snacks, like, hey y'all, we want to be in this. What
Right.
can we do? How can we promote? How can you guys help promote us? And it's like just to get in that particular door, like say for me on the wrestling side, you open one door into the realm of like in a professional wrestling area. Like we have friends that we know that are involved with wrestling on levels that
Yeah.
you could not even fathom for some people.
Absolutely.
And it's like, but once we can get in, the company's like, hey yo, we got these cats, Loading Snacks, they're gonna be here. Hey, they're gonna be out here announcing, recording stuff or whatnot ever. There's a different tone to when you're there, and they have your logos on stuff. Like we may
Yeah.
flip on the joint, hey, Loading Snacks presents this wrestling pay-per-view or whatnot ever. Like the end game is for us to start seeing us on, yeah, we're on YouTube and stuff. I like to flip on TV and see a Loading Snacks logo.
Like dog. For a second, I thought you was gonna say like the end game is for us to be in the ring. No, sir.
Hey, I was in the
No,
ring.
sir.
Hey, let's
It,
go.
it,
But
it,
but
it
listen,
didn't
I'm
go
not.
quite as
Listen,
good.
listen. No joke. I got hit up like 4 days ago asking about getting in the ring. I'm not even joking. I'm not even. I'm
Hold
not
on.
even a joking.
Hold
It's
on.
a
Do they
new
want you to
promotion.
wrestle somebody or just like get in
What?
there and talk?
No, bro. Mat work. You hear me?
Oh!
It's a new
They wanted some
promotion. It's a
groundwork.
it's a new backyard wrestling
Oh,
promotion.
okay.
Somebody who I know is doing like announcing and all that kind of stuff. Reached out about that, and in the joint was also maybe even doing some in ring, and I was like, nope, shenanigans.
And they trying to
Listen,
bring light bulbs over your back and some barbed
hey,
wire and all
listen.
Nah,
types of
bro.
stuff.
I
Backyard
will take
wrestling.
I will take a bump. You can hit me with the suplex or something like that. But as soon as you say, yeah, we're gonna bring out this barbed wire and these
I'll let you
and these
take the
light
bump,
bulbs
boy.
and stuff,
We gonna set it on fire.
I'm
Nah,
like,
bro.
Nah.
listen, I will be there. I will gladly talk about it at that announce table. But honestly, you know what? I take that back. I don't think I want to be at their announce tables if they do have one. I'll have a camera somewhere and record it because I don't even want to be there with my own equipment. You may take my equipment and use it. Like,
Hey,
Yeah.
dog, I will forward you the information. I'm just saying. I can see that. You know what I mean? Again, I do think that a lot of times, I think part of what has happened for us is that we're a very small team, and I think there are a lot of people who know that they only see like
Mhm.
three of our faces. They know that
Mhm.
there's at least somebody else, but I think that they think that there's a lot more people
There's an
involved in
army
the
of
end
us.
product in
Yeah.
what we do. And I think a lot of times what it comes down to is us really having to look at and pick and choose what we can realistically accomplish
Hmm.
based on the number of people that we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
on team. Um, for me, what I see is continuing to grow the monetary side of what's happening with loading snacks so that
Hmm.
we can maybe afford to branch out, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more to do other things. I wholeheartedly intend for us to do other things. I have already put in to try to see if I can get pressed for KCon, the K-pop convention next week,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just because I'm happen to be there. However, I also put in right here in our own backyard at the same convention center we just came from doing Otakon. SneakerCon is like next weekend, and
I
I
knew
got
about TCon. I knew about TCon. I
Econ was 2 weeks ago. SneakerCon is coming up, and somebody hit me and was like, "Hey, are you going?" And I was like, "Nah, but I'll be coming back. Like I'll be out of town." And they were like, "Well, I got a student who's like debuting a shoe there, and it's artwork and stuff like that. It's still in the
Yeah.
same realm, but
Oh
like
yeah.
it really is what we do. It's still the way that crossover is." So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just put it in and see what happens for that Sunday, because I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? And just see
It's a
what
one day
happens. I
con.
want to see us expand on the fact that we get press passes so that we can do coverage at the kind of conventions we normally do them at.
Mhm.
I want to see us expand beyond that and really start looking at other things that are happening, even if they
Mhm.
are things that are just happening. So while we've considered like, all right, here's one of the big goals is let's get to San Diego. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Maybe next year we'll do San Diego. That is still firmly within the realm of what we have
What we already
more or
have
less
done.
always done and what we already do. And
Is Sneaker Con a one day con?
I don't believe so.
You know
Oh,
what?
oh,
I
Oh,
believe it's
okay.
a 3 day.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so yeah, I mean, for us to be able
oh,
to
that is not the right one.
be here on the helm of things that are brand new, like
Hmm.
how Ocean City Comic Con was, how Stellar Con was,
Blur Con
um,
at the time.
right,
Hmm.
BlurCon
Yeah.
was, for us to be there at the beginning of those things and to have access to those things is incredible. And having that kind of access has allowed us to continue to get
Mm,
access at some of the older,
two
bigger
days.
cons. It's Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday.
It is
Saturday, Sunday, I
20th
believe.
and 21st. So it's probably
Yeah,
Saturday. Yeah,
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Because I fly back in on the 20th. So, um, and the guy who hit me told me he was only going to be there Saturday. And I
Okay.
was like, well, I ain't gonna be able to do that. Um, again, it is that there are conventions that are here. A lot of times they do the Pokemon World Championships here. Why aren't we
That's
there?
a
Why aren't we covering it? Why aren't you know what I mean? There are video game tournaments that happen here on a regular basis. So even when we talk about not necessarily getting outside of, say, just a DMV or off of the East Coast, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of other things we could be digging our hands into, and grabbing and moving and obtaining additional content from, while we do it. So I think for me, what I really want to see, I think, is more flexibility
mm-hmm.
in what we cover that still sits within the realm of what we cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of ways, there's not a lot of good reason when anybody is here. If it's ECW, if it's WWE, if it's New Japan, or if it's C3, right? That we don't talk to people and get press for those things, right? Um, the opportunity to possibly sit down with some of those wrestlers and have conversations and have that content to bring to our audience, right? What I'm looking for is for us to have more ways to talk to people that our audience wants to see. Um, and it means it's going to be time consuming, right? That's just, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. But, it's kind of like if we just don't, like, I want to see us, reach out to get more partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is from tech companies, because we use a lot of this stuff. Um, so brand partnerships, um, sponsorships, uh, and really kind of push our audio presence on the podcast and really
Mm-hmm.
push our video presence on this, and really kind of utilize more of the stuff that we have at our disposal to get to as many people as possible, right? I do want to see us do more short term / evergreen
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
content. um, we've talked about evergreen content for probably 8 or 9 years now.
Yeah.
um, and while we have some ideas, and things were a bit different when we were always getting together and always recording in the same space, now I don't really see a big reason why we can't continue to do that. It's just scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
um but I don't want to give up what we have with something like weekly, where we have something where
Yeah,
we're live and
live.
get to
Yeah.
interact with our um with our patrons, with people who follow us. For anybody that sees us, it's still, kind of a it's slightly overwhelming still to to sit down and talk to somebody who really we're attempting to do some mentorship with. I say, look, just come hang out, come be on the show, and they're like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
not ready yet because my stuff's
Yeah.
not where it needs to be in order for me to do that. I don't understand what you mean. Just come on the show, and they're like, nah, because when I come on your show, I need to make sure that I have something that I'm ready to promote so I can get it out to people, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, just come on the show.
Come on the
Nah,
show.
because I
Yeah.
watch y'all show, and y'all got regulars.
Yeah.
Regulars.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to, do that.
That was an interesting conversation just to hear from like their perspective. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Absolutely,
wow. Yeah.
absolutely,
And
and that's
these past couple of months, we've gotten a lot of stuff in that realm. You know what I mean? Which has just been, you take it aback and just you start to realize how much impact you've had on people throughout all these years without knowing it. But now you're actually like they're saying it when we're out, like, yo, you inspire me. The story you just said, all that kind
Oh,
of stuff. Oh, you wanted to interview me? You know what I mean? On the show,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like we didn't. You really thought that way about us? You know what I mean? Like, so now it's after hearing all those, just stories that we've had these past couple months. It's okay. I got to reset my brain in a
mm-hmm.
different way than I had been. Like, okay, we meet more to people than we actually kind of like know. People are looking at us in
Yeah.
in a higher light than maybe we looked at it ourselves. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
think
mean?
some of it comes from going to the same conventions, right? And seeing people that we see all the time. Like, we have Con Family,
Yeah,
right? So we have people that we see all the
yeah,
time, and so they talk about us or talk to us, and I mean, y'all, like, I see y'all everywhere. I'm like,
delicious.
yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
we really be trying to be everywhere, right? But at the
Yeah,
same time, we also know that there are places that we want to be or have attempted to be that we haven't gotten to,
Gone
right? So,
to.
like, when somebody sees us and they're like, man, y'all are everywhere. Everywhere I go, I see y'all. You know what I mean? But in the back of our heads, it's like, well, we haven't been to MomoCon, we haven't been to Dragon Con, we haven't been to C2E2, and we haven't been, you know what I mean? We haven't been to Wizard
yeah,
World Philly, and we haven't been, you know what I mean? So when we start looking at all the things we haven't done, things that we still want to, I think a lot of times we take for granted, right, that our perspective isn't always the same as somebody from the outside looking in,
Mm-hmm.
because
yeah,
for us, we see what we've done, and you do sort of see what you accomplish, but you don't really realize how much of an impact that maybe has on people who either are attempting to do the same thing or want to do the
yes,
same thing, or just trying, when you have people that have way more followers than we have say to you,
Mm-hmm.
Yo, for a long time, if anybody looked me up, the
Y'all were
only
the
way they
first.
found me was through y'all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when I say somebody has more I'm talking about like 10 times more followers than us. Like we got
Yeah.
8,000, they got 83,000. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting that you can have, that kind of an impact and feel like you maybe don't see the growth of that impact for as hard as you're working,
Mm-hmm.
right?
True.
Um, and so if people don't come up to you and say it, you don't know it, or you don't
True.
see
Right.
it, right?
Out of sight, out of mind
But it
kind of
is
thing.
also, yeah. But here's the thing, I also think, and this is kind of what I want. Like I need negative comments. I need comments from people who I know don't know us. People who are just angry at something we said or hating on something we did
Mhm.
because I know they don't know us. See, a lot of what we have right now is all people who know us, who we
Mm-hmm.
know them and they know us. And until you really start getting people who, like, you say something and they're just like, if you look at probably the most popular thing we've ever done, right? 90,000 views on TikTok, right? 400, 500 comments on TikTok, right?
Mhm.
It's just me saying something that got under people's skin. That's
Yep.
it. Now,
That jump.
it's stuff that, and there's a lot of people who agreed. It was a lot of people who disagreed. And then there were a lot of people who were just like, who cares, dude? You should just be able to play games. Like, it shouldn't matter
Yeah.
how you play. You should get, right? Which is also fine
Mm-hmm.
because they're saying the right things, right? But of those 90,000 people, if you look at the 400 plus comments, none of the people leaving comments are people we know.
Nope.
And that's the difference, right? I think that right now what happens is, again, like, our content is seen by people who already know us, who we already know. So either we have to create content that's going to get people who don't know us to see it and then share
Say
it,
it.
Mm-hmm.
right? Talk about it, comment it, or it means really working hard to get people who do already follow us to do that same thing, to share it. And you have to keep in mind that while we know a lot of people who have a lot of followers, we know a lot of people who know the same people. So if
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they populate
Yeah.
our stuff, a lot of times it means that they're probably populating it to people who do already know us,
Right.
or something like
Right.
that, right? And so it is kind of a matter of changing, shifting gears to help get things in front of people who aren't as
Mm-hmm.
familiar with who we are and what we do. So um, I do think that to a large extent it means branching out and going to conventions we don't normally go to.
Yeah.
It does mean
Definitely.
meeting people we haven't met before and shaking hands and networking with people that we haven't met before. It does mean, you know, talking to people who aren't necessarily always the people who create the artwork. Um, but it does maybe mean talking to the people who put those people at tables.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Or put,
Yeah.
just because it's 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 necessary for us to have that in, for us to move our brand. I like having a brand that everybody who knows us knows us. I
Mm-hmm.
do. I love it. You can't really grow that way. You know what I'm saying? It's much harder. So what I really want to see is, I really want to see the brand grow beyond that, right? So that is, I mean, it happens, right? We go somewhere and somebody's like, "Oh, Loaded Snacks," right? And it's, we don't know who you are.
And look, it
You know what
happened
I'm
to
saying?
that when we was at Nerd Beach. We was
Yeah.
sitting
How many
there
people
having a
came up to
conversation, and a few people came to us like, "Yo,
Loading
what's up? Yada
Snacks?
yada, loading snacks. Can I get a picture?" We was like,
I
"Yeah,
was like,
sure. Like, what's up? Let's do it."
one of them. I was like, yeah, I know who you are, but then I was like, I don't quite know who
Well,
you
I can tell by the
are.
look. I can tell by the look on your face, jokes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't recognize you, but hey, cool,
You
whatever, man. You
cool.
know us.
Hey,
Like,
but sometimes that's gonna
let's do
happen
it.
too when half the people you meet are in cosplay, and the next time you see them,
Yes,
they in a different cosplay.
yeah,
you might not recognize them, or whatever, right? And so, you know, um, that kind of thing continues to happen by doing more, by being more involved, by being out there a little bit more, by adjusting some of the things we do. A lot of things we
Mhm.
do is the same, but we want to do the same things in a different way. And I think that's really what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for in us doing Extra Life differently this year,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right?
I'm really
Let's
looking forward to
not
extra
try to
life
do it
this
for
year.
24 hours straight and
Yeah,
keep people tuned in for 24 hours straight. And
Yeah.
yeah. With
you
us
know,
been talking about how to switch it, I'm honestly really. It's not that I'm always looking forward to it, but like just the way we're switching it up, doing the 3 days, just 8 hours at a time, letting everybody get some good rest in between before we go at it again.
sure.
Like, and the way we're thinking of just switching up the content each day, I'm
Mhm.
genuinely like really looking forward to it this year.
Yeah, man. Look, I think that there's definitely something to be said for doing 24 hours straight and people, getting up at like 3 in the morning, being
Hey,
like,
look,
"Yo, y'all still on?" Like,
hey, look,
yeah,
Yeah, we
like right, and some of the spectacle of it and how silly it gets or whatever.
we've done that enough now. We don't have to prove ourselves no longer.
Yeah, let's also like a couple of us are getting old, and we've been the ones that actually been able to do it for
Hey,
the
hey,
full 24 hours.
say
You
that
know what
louder
I
for
mean?
the people in the back.
I say it loud for the person in the front,
I was
Slim.
gonna say, Sin, just say it. I don't know why we're trying to sugarcoat it. Like, hey,
I'm
listen,
just
I got
saying.
through 1 year fully, so I'm good.
Oh, so you good now? You got
I
your
got
badge of
through
honor.
1 year. I almost died 1 year.
That's
So
true. That's
All
true.
good, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's. I do think that it's about doing some other things, doing things differently. I think that there's
Mhm.
a need to revamp and maybe put a slightly different approach on being comfortable being a geek. Um, you know, really pushing some of the other ideas that we have for panels. I don't think there's anything wrong with us having more than one panel that covers different, topics or things of that nature. So I really, man, look, we have a hard time keeping up with a lot of what it is we already have to do, but I really want to see us expand, beyond what we do, beyond our comfort zones. Um, like I really like Kay doing interviews.
it just took
Um,
him how long for us to finally get my man to do
I mean,
something
he
in
just
this?
would always act like he didn't want to, but it's like
Yeah,
we talked about, it, like we know you want to, and
yeah.
he's kind of like, nah, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, you
No,
do.
but there's something there with it. Yeah,
Yeah, but then also
yeah.
having like it takes time, it takes practice. It's not easy. Getting
True.
on the other
Mm-hmm.
side of the camera and recognizing that, realizing that, I think is
Mm-hmm.
is is important.
Agreed.
Um, but again, it means that as a team, we're stretching our legs. You know what I mean? That we're branching out, and so that also means being able to do some other things. You know what I mean? We haven't really Magfest. We cover people who do music. We haven't
Hmm.
really covered concerts the same way we did, say, at Otakon this year, right? But now
Yeah, that
we've
was the
made
first.
connections with people at Otakon who literally, like, just again the other day, like, hey, let me know when you're going to be at other joints because we're going to have other artists coming to other
Hmm.
conventions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, making those connections and talking to people and kind of making sure that we have that in and that time frame to talk to people. Where when you look at something like Magfest is a different beast because Magfest doesn't do press passes at all.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they say they don't do press because they're a 501c, but Otacon's a 501c and they do press. So I don't know
Hmm.
why MagFest doesn't really do press, but it is what it is, right? At the same time, paying for MagFest is always worth it. Like I always enjoy
Oh
myself.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
You know, just in a slight other note, I was telling shout out to Noah who be rocking with us more so recently when it comes to extended Lotus Snacks family when we go to these conventions. But I told him about MagFest recently, and I don't know, he reacted to it like I've never talked to him about this before. Like, dog, it's a music and gaming festival.
You
Like,
might
it's
not have.
I could have swore I had. But he was like, that sounds like amazing and dope. Like, yes,
I
it's the
feel like,
first
I
It
con of
mean,
is
every
amazing
year,
and dope.
and everything. Like you would love it. You're a music person and you're a gaming person. Like, so
There's
You know what I'm
nothing
saying?
like
Like,
it, bro.
yeah,
Dog,
telling him like he's excited, like, yeah, like
as
I'm
many cons
there
and things that
this
we've
year.
talked about, I think it could have been easy that you could have forgot to tell him about MagFest.
I'm
Uh,
very
I
true.
will honestly say that it probably just got overshadowed by Katsu because he's such an anime dude that's probably what, and they happen so close to each other.
True. Because I know I
You know what
had
I
to have
mean?
told him, just knowing him, like, no, you're
They
anime,
also
music, and
happen in the
gaming.
same place. You know what I'm saying?
True.
You know, they take place at the same place, so it's like
True.
there's probably some overlap. Maybe that's where it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, look, Max is
Mag is great. Magfest is just
that's how we
great.
that joint
start.
is
Like,
incredible.
that's how we start the year.
Yeah,
Like
like it's just, man, all the
It
way
is
around, it's just a great convention, festival, whatever.
there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking to do some other things. I want to branch out and do some other stuff. I really want to see us really kind of dig in with some people that are working on projects. You know, a lot of times we'll sit down with somebody, we'll do interviews with them, we'll talk to people we've already talked to that we already have a relationship with. You know, they'll be like, yeah, I'm working on such and such. I really want to see us get into like maybe getting behind the scenes stuff with them and doing documentary stuff with some of these
mhm.
folks and, you know,
Okay.
putting stuff together on you know, and building additional content that is beyond just the standard interviews that we do and just the weekly show that we do and you know that kind of stuff. That's really what I'm looking for is for us to take um I don't want to say take the content to the next level. I mean add additional content that
Yeah,
takes overall what Loading Snacks does to the next level.
I get it.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I get it.
that's you know that's where I am. I think a lot of that can happen in stuff like you know with what you see happening with anime chat. I think the same thing is possible in wrestling chat. I think you just got to sit down with your people and
Hmm.
say, look, let's do that perfect storm. I would probably be doing more with movie club if the podcast for movie club wasn't already doing so well.
Mhm.
But it could be doing better, possibly, if you know we put some of those other things into play. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, truth be told, man, like I have over the next couple of months, you know, I plan for us to be. We're already going to be super busy. Our schedule is already crazy packed. I expect for it to be way worse than that,
Mm.
and I mean that in the best way. I
I
No,
really
mean,
do.
yeah, yeah. Just
I
after
mean that
even
in the best way.
Otakon, just how we were just talking and looking like this month we have A, B, C, and D. Like in this month just alone, like yeah, I see. I agree with exactly what you're saying.
and then we
Yeah.
always get hit with those random things that happen at a time. You know, some cons that we throw our way for panels or press that we never get into. It's like when
Hmm.
some of those like randomly would like, oh yeah, here you guys, here's some press passes. And it's like, oh guys, we need to travel to X, Y, and Z on such and such day, and we're
Yeah.
like,
Perfect example. Perfect example, jokes. Last year was the first time we had to split up into two teams to cover two cons.
Correct.
and there's a good chance that that's
Yeah.
going to be the same this year as
It's
well
probably
too.
going to happen again
Yeah.
because they
Very
happen
true.
to also be the same again.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I mean, it's just it's gonna keep doing that. We just have to. I think the thing about it is making sure that when we do that, it's not always just about getting the same kind of content and coverage as we always do, but making sure that we make the connections we need to.
Hmm.
You know what I mean with people. Like for real, last year's Anime NYC is a thing that happened because we were in the right place at the right time with the right people at AwesomeCon.
100%.
Um, and so it just so happened that the same people run both cons,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh, for real? Oh, y'all got press here? Hey, put in for Anime NYC. We're doing ABC. Today's the last day.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All right, we got that.
Yeah.
You know what I
and
mean?
and what
And it,
adds to that is the fact that when we did put in and they responded back, it was like, we like how you guys go to the convention, you have your stuff organized and set up on like YouTube and all this. They actually hear someone actually tell that they went in, they looked at what you did. Like, that's a real good feeling as well too.
Here's the more interesting thing about that was that wasn't what they said at first. What they originally said was, we're only giving you 2 passes. And it was
Oh.
like, we need another pass. And then
Mhm.
they went back and looked at it and were like, you know what? We really like what y'all did at Awesome Con. We would
Mm-hmm.
love for you to do that with us. Yes,
Mhm.
we'll give you another pass. Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And sometimes it is that. It is having to go back and
Yeah.
say, hey,
We did
can
such and
y'all
such.
really look at, and we might have a little fight like that on our hands with Baltimore this year.
We still fighting. What was it? Katsu, who just
Hey,
Lord
we
G.
no, we gonna wait until we apply for that next year. We won't with what we've
I'm
done.
just saying. Yeah, I
We're just
know, but
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
shoot it.
saying.
We're gonna see, but if not, then I I'm not
Hey,
worried
bro,
about
I
that
keep it a
door.
buck with you.
I'm not worried about that door.
Me neither, bro.
Look, two
Me
older
neither.
cons. We'd have interviewed big people. I'm
You
just
know what? Here's the
saying.
thing.
Technically, what did you
It's
say?
it's
Three.
it's Otakon, right? So now we
Mhm.
have Otakon, we have Anime NYC, and more than likely we're gonna have Anime USA.
That's it.
True.
Right, so we
True.
have 3 anime specific conventions that aren't Katsu, and Katsu is huge. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
make it sound like it's not, cause it is. But with what we have under our belts with those 3,
Are we good?
considering coming out of Ocean City halfway through December, going directly into MagFest
Manifest. Yes.
as
Mm-hmm.
soon as January hits, and then basically having Katsu as soon as February hits. February is always packed. It's always super busy. You know, I'm all right. I'm
No,
all right.
I can agree with you. I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm good. That door can just stay there.
I'm also not in a
look,
place where I don't take it personally
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I don't think I ever really took it personally when we didn't get into something. Like if we didn't get pressed, for something. I think it stings a little more with Katsu only because Katsu is so expensive. that like, but let's be real about it. We can ready to shut this show down, but let's be real about it. We never really paid for Katsu anyway.
true.
We never paid to
True.
go to Katsu. We always work the halls, bro.
And look,
Work the halls, work the
yeah.
halls.
And look,
Like,
and to be completely honest, like on my end, the websites that I follow, Otakon is high up there. And like they mention like this person's gonna be an Otakon, yada yada yada. I never see Katsu mentioned on those. So as much
Oda
as I
gets
would
it.
like to go,
Katsu is more of a cosplayers convention.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
It's more of that, in my opinion, than it is about the big names and the people who are coming or whatever. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's more of which is why they've had to, I think, crack down on like you can't even get in the building if you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
badge, you can't even get in the building. Like we don't
It's one
care if you got reservations at the restaurant, and we don't care if you made them joints last year
Last
for
year,
this
like
time at the restaurant. You're not getting in here if you don't already have a room or you
yeah,
don't have a badge or aren't picking up a badge. You're not even getting in the building, right? And
yeah.
so it's still a lot of people who are just like, all right, well, the last couple of February has been pretty mild outside. We'll just stand outside and take pictures, which is what a lot of people did.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely true. Yes.
For
Yes.
us, most of the coverage we've ever gotten from KatsuCon has just been us in the hallways talking to people. It's
Mm-hmm.
never been about going in. I think maybe on the last day when it was
Mm-hmm.
cheap, we already there, and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, it's midnight, it's Sunday, it's only this much to get in, so I guess. And then maybe, but we've never really covered the floor. We've never really, and we don't really do press in terms of like trying to, press gives us access to talk to this person or meet this person or whatever. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
unless I see that there's somebody major there, then I'm like,
Let's.
you
Yeah.
know. Anyway, look, that's been y'all episode of Snacking and Hanging. We're out of here. Look, we hope y'all enjoy this episode. We'd love to hear your feedback. Talk to us about what y'all want to see. Talk to us about what you think we should be doing next. And, tell us what your ideas are. We'd love to hear it. We're always
Oh
open
yeah.
to it. So by all means, shoot us whatever advice you have. And with that, we'll see y'all for next month's episode. We're out. Toodles and Lou.